It's so nice to be among all of you. So thank you for having me. My name is Nydia Duenez, and I am the Dean of Students and Diversity Affairs at Southwestern Law School in Los Angeles, California. And it is an incredible privilege to be with you today and to have the opportunity to share with you all a talk that I've titled Lawyers Matter. And my hope through our short time together this afternoon is that I'll be able to share a little bit with you all about my journey in going through law school, my journey as an attorney, and now on the other side in academia, working in administration and assisting students in pursuing their career objectives in the law. And so I hope that this information could be useful to you and that you can walk away maybe with a stronger feeling of purpose about your decision to be looking into law school, or perhaps after our discussion, you may realize perhaps law school may not be for you, and I think that's equally meaningful. My goal here today is for you to have a good amount of information about what law school is like, what the legal career journey is like, and why lawyers matter in 2016 more than ever. And I'd like to commend all of you for being here and for being so proactive in your pursuit of a legal education. The National Diversity Pre-Law Conference is an event like no other. It truly is. And I think you all are doing an amazing service to yourselves and actually already exhibiting a lot of lawyerly skills, such as doing your research and your due diligence as you embark on this journey. So I'd like to commend you all for that. So as you've been thinking about law school and trying to make the decision if this is something that you'd like to pursue, I'm sure you've heard a lot of feedback, right? It doesn't take that much time to go online, to read the paper, to go on Above the Law, to look at the blogs, to see that there's a lot of discussion about whether or not there's still a value in pursuing a legal education in 2016, right? Does the cost-benefit analysis work out in your favor after the 3 years in law school? And I want to be candid about that discussion, right? There is a lot of hurdles as you embark on a journey to go to law school. I think we can talk very openly about the LSAT exam, right? And all of the feelings that you all may have as you're beginning this journey about taking the LSAT, the cost, right? The time commitment, all of those things. Does this exam really is it able to convey my ability to be a lawyer, right, via this one exam? How is this tool useful, right? I think you're also probably thinking law school is really expensive, right? I think your family is probably communicating that to you, your spouses, your partners, right? Law school is expensive. Currently, it ranges about $40,000 plus a year to pursue a law school education, right? We're talking about approximately $120,000 after your 3-year time in law school. And we're not even talking about living expenses yet or books, right? It's a huge commitment. It's a risk in 2016. And so I think you're also probably hearing these other discussions about, well, law school is very stressful, right? It's a stressful environment. Am I prepared for that? Do I want to go through 3 years of an experience that has been described as highly competitive, that has been described with different stories about the Socratic method and being called on and having one exam compose 100% of your grade for the entire semester? I'm sure you heard stories such as look to your right, look to your left, one of you won't be here next year, right? We've heard these stories. And I think that they're important pieces of information to take in. And I do strongly believe that a career in law is not for the faint of heart. And it's not for someone who's going to easily be discouraged, or for someone who can't be self-reliant, or for someone who can't trust their instincts, or for someone who can't, to some extent as a minority, be a trailblazer. Because we still have so much work to do in this area. And I don't want to make it seem like it's all well, right? As a minority myself, my law school experience was filled with periods of isolation where I felt it was clearly evident to me that people had different discussions at the dinner table than I had had. I remember going into my business associations class, and the topic of discussion was stocks and shareholders. And everyone had all of these personal questions, and and I'm thinking, did everyone go to a stocks and bonds 101 workshop before I got here? How do they have all of these questions? And then it dawned on me, right? I am the daughter of immigrant parents. Both of my grandparents are illiterate. These families had different conversations at the dinner table. My dad was a construction worker, and that's what he came home to talk about when he got home and we ate at dinner, right? He talked about that life. He didn't talk about a big board meeting or a big court case or a big deal that he had accomplished. Those were not the conversations that we had. And law school made it really clear to me that my experience was different. But that shouldn't discourage you if this is an area that you are passionate about. I think another thing to think about is that, you get through law school and you get through that difficult experience, and then you have another hurdle, right? You have the bar exam. And you're thinking, wow, I thought I got done with tests. I thought I got done with the expensive tuition. Now I've got to take, depending on the jurisdiction you're in, a 2-day bar exam, 9 weeks of intensive bar prep. It's expensive. I've got to wait 4 months to find out how I did, and maybe another 6 months to find out if I need to take this thing again, right? Really challenging period. And so once you get through that hurdle, and you will, I did, and I'm not any different than anyone sitting here, and I got through it. So once you get through that hurdle, you go into your legal career, right? And then you're hearing from people, you're hearing from the media that the salaries are not comparable to the debt that you're taking on, that there are not many jobs, that we have too many lawyers, that young lawyers are getting pushed out of the employment market. So you're hearing all of those things, right? And if I haven't lost you already, where you're saying, wow, Dean Duenez, well, we're done here, right? I'm over this idea of going to law school. That's no longer something I want to do. If I haven't lost you yet, I want to tell you, law school is difficult. Law school is challenging, but it needs to be, because being a lawyer is no different. Being a lawyer is no easier. Being a lawyer requires taking risks. Being a lawyer requires gambling on yourself. It requires being self-reliant. It requires being able to work in periods of difficulty and not lose your integrity. Being a lawyer requires that day in and day out, and law school adequately prepares you for that. So my experience when I first entered the legal profession was very interesting to me, because as I mentioned, law school at different times was isolating for me. And I had the great privilege of externing with Universal Music Group. It was a fabulous externship, and upon graduation and passing the bar exam, they hired me to work in business and legal affairs, and it was truly a dream come true for me as to what I wanted to do. And I had a boss that was very supportive in that journey, and she invited me to a copyright convention, and I was ecstatic, because I thought, okay, this is my break. She's taking me to learn more skills. This is going to be great. So I go to this copyright convention with her, and I walk in. I am the only Latina in the room. I am one of very few women. The only other people in the room that looked like me were the people that were serving me my lunch. Okay? And that's an incredibly difficult feeling to go through. And I asked myself at that moment, what is so different about me? Why do I have a seat at the table? And my other members of my racial group are not seated at the table. They are serving at the table. What is so different? It's education. Education is an equalizer. Education gives you the opportunity to have a voice. Education allows you to enter into situations where you would otherwise not have access, except for the fact that you have a degree, you are a licensed attorney, you have gone through the same rigorous, difficult process as everyone else, and you made the cut. That's what education did for me. Now, I think you're getting kind of my feeling about how I feel law school can prepare you, how the law school experience reflects into your legal experience. And I want to touch now a little bit about why I think law school so adequately prepares you. And that's because lawyers make decisions, right? Lawyers are decision makers, and law school will prepare you for that. Law school, through its rigorous reading and writing curriculum, through its different assignments, through its analysis that it puts you through, it will prepare you to be able to take on difficult situations. Lawyers shape the law. Lawyers take on the tough cases that impact us all as citizens and members of this society. Lawyers do that work. Additionally, lawyers guide people through the most difficult parts of their lives, and that is such an incredible honor when you can assist someone and be a voice for someone who otherwise would not have a voice. Lawyers assist people through a divorce, through business deals gone wrong, through negligent acts by corporations. Lawyers go on to be politicians. And let's be honest, in 2016, we need more lawyers as politicians. We need people who are trained in the law, who value the law, who understand the law. It is no coincidence that over half of our presidents have been attorneys, and there's great value in that. We need people who can work together to find solutions, to bring people together, not to create barriers between people. And we need that more than ever in 2016. Lastly, I want to emphasize why I believe that lawyers of color matter more in 2016 than ever. And yes, I said 2016 more than ever, right? I feel terrible even saying 2016 because I thought we'd be in a better place by now. But you don't have to go far into your communities to hear that there is social unrest, right? That people feel in our communities that the legal system is not adequately representing them. You don't have to go far, and you see it in the media. And I think there's so much skepticism about how the law is protecting us, right? And so how do we address that? And the way that we address that is we find a way on the other side of the legal system. I mean, in 2016, the United States has the highest incarceration rate out of any country. And it's over 2 million people that are incarcerated or on parole. And the majority of those people are minorities. We have to get on the other side of that system, and we do that through education, and we do that through getting a seat at the table, right? And so until we have more police officers, until we have more district attorneys, until we have more transactional attorneys, more judges that reflect the societies that we represent, we won't have the type of change that we need. And as members of this society, it's our obligation to pave the way and make it better for those who come after us, just as people did for us, to even extend us the opportunities to enter into these programs. So in closing, I'd like to say the law profession is an incredibly honorable profession. It truly is, and it affords you the opportunity to effectuate change. Yes, law school will be difficult, but these changes that we need to make as a society will also be difficult. And you will be armed to make those changes if that's something that you're passionate about. So thank you so much.